Hello, today I'm going to be giving a in-depth look at how you can call Steam achievements that are set to a counter that add to stats and actually save after you close and open the game. An example of this would be you want to give the player an achievement after he wins 10 matches in aggregate. So it doesn't matter if he wins them in a row, if he wins two one day, doesn't play for a week, and then wins the rest a month later. It'll just all add to that achievement, and this is how you're going to do that. All right, so here's just my game. Basically, first thing we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to make a blueprint, and this is going to be a my save game file here. Okay, what this is where you can save variables that can live no matter what's going on in the game. Okay, you turn the game off, you travel levels. These variables can this is a save game setup. So you go here, you create the variable. What you're going to do is you're going to change it to an integer. All right. Now in my case, I'm going to use this one here, which is Farber wins game saves. Farber is a character in my game, and we're going to be adding to his wins. Okay. So we have that. Now we're going to go back here, and I have my player controller blueprint, and in here we have 3 primary bits of code that we need to call, and this is it. This is how simple it is. All right, so first thing we're going to do is when the game starts, it's got to call the my game save file and basically set the variable. Okay, the second bit here is after you have that variable set, so you're a new user, you played for the first time, now you're coming back to play again. And what this is basically doing is it's just loading the variable. And then the final is calling the achievement. So this is going to be taking that variable that just loaded, and it's going to be basically adding to that variable and then sending that to Steam to count towards the achievement counter. And like I said, that's it. So to break through this, the first thing we do, what we're going to do is we go to create save game object, right? And I'm just copying this here, just walking through it. What we're going to do is we're casting to my save game, which is the blueprint that we created. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. All right, what we're doing is we're going to set, in my case, it's our character Farber, his wins. I call it win game save. That's the game saved in the my save game blueprint. You'll notice there's a second variable here said Farber to wins. That is the variable that is in my player controller blueprint. I'll get to that in a second. First thing we're going to do is we need to set, right? We just got this game. We just turned it on. We need to set this variable in our game save file. All right, now go over here and you'll see I've already done this. You create the variable. Again, it's an integer, which is going to be Farber wins. And obviously you call it whatever you're trying to do. So I'm having it Farber the character it's a game where it's basically a game where a bunch of humans are fighting against a monster called Farber, and if the players playing the monster, if they win, that's gonna, on the multiplayer game, that's going to add to his achievement. All right, that's what I'm doing for this example. You can make this work based on whatever you're doing. All right, so what we're doing here is we're going to connect that to there, and we're going to add the target. Obviously, target is the my game save file. Now, so what this is doing is This is connecting the save game in my save game to the variable here in our player controller. Okay, that's very important. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go save game to slot. Boom. We're going to connect that all the way over here back to your call it something simple, but be consistent. I just call it save slot. Boom. That's it. And what you want to do is this should be pretty much set up to your begin, begin the whatever, like the first thing that's called, because you want that to basically fire immediately. All right. So we have done this. This is now completed. All right. The second thing we're going to do, now we have to load the save file. Okay. And what we're going to do here, and this is basically for returning players, all right? And essentially, after you've played the game once, this will basically take over. And you can, what a lot of people do is essentially is you start your game. I actually move the save here, right? I actually move this over and I take the load, I call that first. So the game starts, right? It tries to load the game slot, which hasn't been created yet. If that fails, boom, we create the save. Okay? So your new player, they start the game. Very first thing that gets called here is load, can't load, create the save. So when they have the save, that cast doesn't fail, and boom, it loads. If you just put this code here, and this code is the achievement code, this is the magic sauce. If you don't do this, it's going to add to your counter. But every time you restart the game, that counter is going to go back to 0. Okay? So, now that we have all that done, you're going to call your achievement, whatever you're doing. In my case, it's when our monster Farber here, when he wins a match. All right. So what are we doing? We're going to cache the achievement. All right. We're going to come over. We're going to set Farber wins, calling it from the player controller right here. All right. Make sure you don't get those mixed up. All right. Now, from there, we're going to write to a leaderboard, which is pretty standard for the Steam achievement stuff. We're all very familiar with that. And then we're going to read leaderboard integer. Now, I have said this before, just as a reminder, the stat value here, this here connects to what you're setting. Oh yeah, don't forget we got to add our player controller. Boom, boom, set that there. This over here, this communicates with Steam. I'll get into that in a second. First thing we're going to do is I have my Farberto wins. So basically, this is my player controller variable. What I'm gonna be doing is every time this is called, that means that you have won a match. So I'm gonna go +1, and I'm gonna set that to this variable. Okay, and that then goes over here to write to the leaderboard, and then we connect it over here to read leaderboard integer. Now, I thought this was kind of weird because I thought they would have been flipped. Took me a while to figure this out. Oh, one last thing. Make sure you connect that player character. This needs to be connected to 3 things. All right. Stat name. This is what Steam is reading, so make sure you get that correct. So in my case, I just called it Farber, which is the character name again. And that's it. Okay, so it's going to call this on success, and it's going to add, every time it calls, it adds 1 to this stat. Okay, that's going to go over here, and it's going to add 1 to the stats. That's it. That's all you got to do. Okay, now I'll walk you through how it works on Steam. All right. Also, just as a reminder, if you need it, this here is just the regular code to call a Steam achievement. This is different than if you're trying to call a stat that's going to count achievements. This is just a one and done call, all right? Which is you just go to cache achievement and you just run on success, make sure it's from success, write achievement, progress. You connect that to a player controller, boom, boom. Um, you type in the name, ACH for achievement underscore, whatever you want to call it. Note that the progress here, the 100, that's not a 100%. It's binary. It could be 0 or it could be 1. That you can't do anything with that. So if you put like a 50, it doesn't call 50%. That's a big misconception that I see. So this is literally a one and done. You beat the game, you got the achievement. There's no that's it. Very simple. Just wanted to throw that in here. All right. Next thing you do, go to your game file, do a search, pull up. It's called default game engine. You go in here and you're going to see where you can add. You're going to add achievements. 1, 2, 3. You'll see here. Make sure that you keep in mind your spelling, because this is what you're going to be putting into Steamworks. It's got to be identical, because what it does is it calls to your default engine, and that default engine is what's calling to your blueprint. So it's boom, boom, boom. All right. The next thing we have is you can see here the stats page. Basically, what you're going to do here is you're going to add the name of the stat achievement that you want to add. Note that I have it added twice. I'm not going to get into the reasons why. You just have to put it in twice. Okay, then you come over here to the Steam achievement, and on the Steam achievements page, basically what you have to do is you've got to go in here and you've got to add your text. Basically, you can see where it says progress stat, and from right there you actually have a drop arrow where you can just select the stat. Very easy. In my case, I was doing a win counter up to 10, minimum value 0, max 10. The display and description is what's going to come up. You can put whatever you want in there. I leave the set by, just leave it on client. The main thing is that you just keep the name and the spelling consistent. There's two areas where you got to do that. The top one, where it says ACH underscore blah blah blah, that's going to the notepad in the engine text that it's going to be searching for, and then the stat is going to be looking for that in the blueprint. Okay, so you got to make sure those are accurate. And remember, for the stat, you got to put it twice. And as far as the regular ones, they're very simple. Don't worry about the progress stat. All you got to do is fill in the name. Again, make sure it's accurate to what's in the engine text. That's it. All right, I hope this helps. I know that there is very little on how to set this up. Anyways, that's all for today. Have a good time.